Please come closer. Today we have a session of questions and answers. And those who have a question are invited to come and sit here. And we will take turn to sit on that chair so that everyone can see us before we ask the question. We know that a question, a good one, can benefit many people. Therefore, it would be more helpful to ask a question that has to do with the practice of transformation and healing. You may like to write down your question on a piece of paper also, if you don't want to come. But looking from here is so beautiful. So those of us who have already a question, please come up and sit around here. And we will take turn to sit on the chair. The practice according to the tradition. Before we ask the question, we breathe in and out 3 times with the sound of the bell. And everyone is breathing with us. And then we take the microphone and we ask the question. And we know that a good question does not have to be very long. The question is not a statement. So please, those of us who have a question already, come and sit close to Thay, and we will take turn to. And if you have a written question, ask someone to bring it here to Brother Mountain, who is sitting on the left of Thay. And from time to time, we will read from one of these questions. This is the opportunity. Please come. Let us listen to the bell and breathe before we ask the first question.
How do we do when we go back to our real world in the retirement? It's been very nice in this environment, and when we go to our real world, what recommendations would you give to bring all this to every second of our life?
Speak in the microphone.
So, if I understand correctly, the question is how to bring this practice into your daily life. Yes? La traducción funciona así. ¿Cómo llevar esta práctica en nuestra vida cotidiana? ¿Es correcto?
We just do it. Suppose when you open the water tap and you see the water flowing, you pay attention to the water and you tell yourself that it's wonderful that the water has come to you, to your kitchen, to your bathroom from high up on a mountain, from deep in the earth, and you feel grateful, you feel happy because the water is there for you. So that is to apply the teaching of mindfulness in our daily life. When you brush your teeth, you might like to focus your attention on brushing your teeth, not thinking, because you have the water, the dental cream, the brush, and you still have teeth to brush. I'm over 80 and every time I brush my teeth, I always say, it's wonderful at each age to still have some teeth to brush. And happiness can come right away. And when you cook your breakfast, do it mindfully. Pouring the water into the kettle, boiling the water. Every moment can be a moment of joy. Lay the table, prepare your tea. Everything you do can be the practice of mindfulness and can bring you joy, happiness. You are fully present in the here and the now. When you drive your car, you can drive it mindfully and enjoy every minute of driving. When you walk from the parking lot to your school, you do the same. So just do it. And you have verses to memorize in order to brush your teeth, to sit down, to open your window. So every daily act can be accompanied by our breathing, our recitation of the verse. It's very convenient because people who have come before us, they have prepared the practice for us. And walking in the railway station, walking at the airport, you can always enjoy walking meditation. You do not have to set up separate time in order to do meditation. But one thing can be said. If you are home to yourself, to your hometown, and if you can create a group of practitioners practicing together. Every weekend you come together to enjoy walking together, sitting together, have tea together, have a sharing of the practice together. That would be wonderful because that community of practice will help you to continue the practice for a long time. Otherwise, you'll be carried away and you abandon your practice after a few weeks. Good luck.
Cojo demasiado eco, no puedo entender. ¿Si puedes repetir?
Sí. Mi pregunta es cómo el mindfulness.
How can mindfulness
ayuda?
Help?
You will have to translate in English later.
Yeah.
A sacar el subconsciente, inconsciente, el mal, la mente, para poder frenar las semillas tóxicas que se hayan introducido en el almacén inconsciente, saber identificar cómo el mindfulness puede no solo introducir una semilla, sino frenar las ya introducidas ciertas
the essence of the question is how can mindfulness help transform the seed, the toxic seeds or the seeds of suffering that are in store consciousness, in your consciousness or the subconscious. Yes?
Mindfulness can recognize the manifestation of a seed. In fact, to be mindful is to be aware of what is going on. So from the depth of our consciousness, which is called a store consciousness, there are many seeds, good ones and negative ones. And every time a good seed come up to the level of the mental, the mind, and you recognize it as a good mental formation, like joy, brotherhood, sisterhood, forgiveness, and so on. So mindfulness recognizes the good mental formation that has manifested, and mindfulness can keep it longer, can help keep it longer for your nourishment and healing. You continue to breathe or walk and maintain the energy of love or happiness or joy or brotherhood alive as long as you want. And that is what you do when a good seed like love, forgiveness, joy manifests. But when a negative seed in you begin to manifest, fear, anger, sorrow, hate, violence, then mindfulness helps you to recognize it. Hello, good morning, my fear. I know you are there. I will take good care of you. So the first thing mindfulness does is to recognize what is there. Good morning, my anger. I know you are there. I will take good care of you. And you breathe in and out mindfully and continue to generate the energy of mindfulness, and with which you embrace your fear, your anger. And you are protected by the energy of mindfulness, because your fear, your anger will not push you to do or say things that will cause damage to you and to the other person. So mindfulness protects you. If you know how to use the energy of mindfulness to recognize and embrace your fear, your anger tenderly, like a mother holding the baby. And then mindfulness can do more. Mindfulness can help you look into that fear, that anger, and see what kind of roots they have. It has come from somewhere, some wrong perceptions, something like that. And with the practice of looking deeply into the fear, the anger, you can recognize the roots of your anger, of your fear, and you got the understanding of it. And your understanding of the roots of something will liberate you from it. So mindfulness can do many things. And the practice of mindful breathing, mindful walking can help generate the energy of mindfulness with which you can nourish yourself and you can heal yourself.
So the question, I guess the question is, how can we find a new path in this society? Is that how can we find a new path and nourish our aspiration in this society? Yes, that's the message for young people. And what would be Thay's message for young people? What would be Thay's encouragement for young people? Considering that society is not a very healthy place, what can we do? How can we live?
When we look at the adult and see that that person is not happy, we can not believe that what he or she tell us about happiness, the path leading to happiness. Because if the path is correct, then that person is not like the way she is or he is. So what that person recommends us to do may not work. Sometimes they recommend us to do something, but they don't do it. They don't do it. So we have to be careful. And we can make a decision based on our own experiences. Whatever you do that brings you to happiness, you believe that that is the right thing to do. What you say can bring you happiness and can bring the other person happiness, you can believe in that kind of thing, and you can continue to say things like that. So it's much safer to base on our own experience of life. And then I think the first thing is we should have a correct idea about happiness, because everyone has an idea of happiness. And our idea of happiness may be the obstacle for our true happiness. So you have to look deeply and have your own idea of happiness. Like many people believe that power, fame, diploma, money, sensual pleasures can make you happy. But when you observe, you can see that many people who have plenty of these things still suffer a lot. So you don't believe it. And when you feel that when you have understanding and love in you, you are happy. You look around, you see people who are not so rich, who are not powerful, but who have plenty of understanding and compassion. You see them happy. So you tell yourself that that's what I want. I want to be happy like him, like her. And in order to do that, I have to cultivate more understanding and compassion and love. Because it's very difficult to live with a person who cannot understand you. You see, very frustrating. So you don't want to be like him, like her. You want to be a person that has a lot of understanding. It's very pleasant to be with someone who can understand us. And to understand is a power. Not money, but to understand is a power. When you love someone, and if you understand him or her, you are a true lover. So cultivating understanding is a practice. And if you do not have the time to look deeply, you cannot understand. You have to understand, first of all, the suffering in you and in the other person. So cultivating understanding is very important. And when you have understood, love, compassion is born. And love is another kind of power. Love has the power to heal. When you have true love in you, you can heal yourself and you can help heal the other person. So understanding and love are two powers. And with them you can create happiness, restore communication, reconcile, and you are determined to go in that direction, not running after fame, power, money, sensual pleasures, but take your time to cultivate more understanding and love and compassion. Even if you have, if you live a very simple life, you can be a very happy person. And I think the young people have the power to do it. They don't have to follow any tradition. They can find their own way, and they can practice true love, true understanding, brotherhood, sisterhood, in order to make themselves happy and stop suffering. And if they can succeed, they can inspire many people to do the same.
First, I would like to thank you, Thay, on behalf of everyone, for your visit to Catalonia this day.
Both.
Hablas mucho de mindfulness speaking, mindfulness walking, mindfulness eating. But the last few days you spoke about mindfulness de sufrimiento, the mindfulness of suffering. Para mí, esto es un poco más difícil. Ser pleno, consciente con el sufrimiento, para evitar que no tenga que
So basically, the essence of the question is that Thay has spoken about different types of mindfulness practice, but Thay has also spoken about mindfulness of suffering. And when a friend practices mindfulness of suffering, it brings up negative feelings or thoughts and emotions.
Myself.
For yourself.
Yeah.
So how to work with mindfulness of suffering? How to practice?
Could you clarify the practice?
And if Thay can clarify what that's meant by working with mindfulness of suffering.
Mindfulness of suffering is very important practice. Mindfulness, first of all, is the kind of energy that helps you to know what is going on. And when suffering is coming up, you should know that suffering is there. And that is mindfulness of suffering. Most of us do not want to do it because we feel that when we get in touch with the suffering inside, we shall be overwhelmed by it. So everyone is trying to run away from their own suffering. And they try to cover up the suffering inside. When you pick up a newspaper to read, when you turn on your television, maybe it's not because you need to do that, but you do that in order not to have to get in touch with the suffering inside. So take the phone and talk with someone, take the car and go out. We do many things, everything in order not to be in touch with the suffering inside. And the suffering inside remain the same and continue to grow because you do not know how to take care of suffering inside and transform it. So mindfulness of suffering is first of all to have the courage to go home to yourself and recognize that suffering is there. And then, as I have said several times, you can use the energy of mindfulness to embrace your suffering, your fear, your anger. And if you know how to do it, and then you suffer less. Like a mother holding her baby, the baby suffers less after a few minutes. And I have also said that if you are a beginner, you might like to borrow the energy of mindfulness of someone else in order to help you to embrace your suffering. 3 or 4 people sitting with you, breathing with you, and offer the energy of mindfulness to help you recognize and embrace the pain in yourself. That is brotherhood, sisterhood. And if you live in the heart of a practice community, you profit from the collective energy of mindfulness of the community. And we have learned a very important thing. If you know how to suffer, you suffer much less. That is an art. To suffer is an art. Everyone has to suffer, including the Buddha, including Jesus Christ. But those of us who know to suffer, we suffer much, much less. And we have to learn. If you have the energy of mindfulness, you can go back to yourself, and you are not afraid of being overwhelmed by the suffering inside. And with that energy of mindfulness, you can embrace your suffering, even smile to your suffering. As a mother holding her child, and if you know how to do that, 3, 5, 8 minutes, you suffer less. The energy of mindfulness holding the energy of anger, of fear, of despair. Two kinds of energies. They are not fighting each other, but one holding the other. Very non-violent, very tenderly. And that is what everyone should learn. It is possible to embrace our pain tenderly with compassion. And that helps you to get a relief after a few minutes of practice. So we should remember that someone who knows how to suffer will suffer much less. And then he can go further. He can make good use of suffering in order to create understanding, compassion, and happiness. And suffering has a role to play in creating happiness. It's like when you grow lotus flowers, you need the mud. Without the mud, lotus flowers cannot grow. It's the same with happiness. Happiness is a kind of lotus, and it needs some kind of mud in order to grow. And the process is like this. There is suffering, and there is mindfulness that can look deeply into the nature of suffering. We listen, we look deeply, and from that kind of practice called mindfulness of suffering is born understanding and compassion. Understanding of suffering, compassion coming out of that kind of understanding. And understanding and compassion are the very foundation of happiness. And we know that understanding and compassion come from the mud, come from suffering. So there is a very deep connection between suffering and happiness, like the connection between the mud and the lotus. If you try always to run away from suffering, you have no chance. You have to see the goodness of suffering. The goodness of suffering, la bienfaisance de la souffrance. It's like the mud is essential for the lotus. So suffering is essential for the making of understanding and love, which are the very foundation of happiness. And when you have seen that, you have right view. Right view is the first element of the noble path leading to happiness. You don't have any discrimination anymore. You know that there is a deep connection between suffering and happiness. And if you know how to make good use of suffering, you can create a lot of understanding and compassion that can create happiness in you and in the other person. So there are two things we have to remember concerning suffering. If you know how to suffer, you suffer less. If you know how to make good use of suffering, you can create happiness. And that is why mindfulness of suffering is very, very important. And we should not try to run away from suffering, pretending that it's not there. And in our civilization, most people don't do that. They run away, they pretend that there is no suffering, and they buy, they consume in order to cover up the suffering inside. We consume not because we need to consume. And there are people who go and look for something to eat, but they are not hungry at all. They eat because they want to forget the suffering inside. Eating is one way, one of the ways to help us running away and not to have to confront, to get in touch with the suffering. And we can practice by ourselves, and if we have a community of practitioners supporting us, and then the practice of mindfulness of suffering can be easier, because we have brothers and sisters in the practice supporting us. They provide understanding and compassion, and with that kind of collective energy, we can easily recognize and embrace our suffering. Clear? Thank you. We read from one written question. The bell.
The errors of the past have caused a lot of suffering and are very difficult to liberate. The errors I've created in the past are quite a heavy burden. How can I forgive myself for this pain that I've caused? And how to be sure that I have forgiven others? What can I do if I offer forgiveness and reconciliation again and again to others, but other people don't respond positively and they keep the door closed?
This is a very good question. First of all, everyone can learn from their own mistakes, unskillfulness, and all of us are unskillful at times. Even the Buddha, as a teacher, he was unskillful at times, and he learned from his unskillfulness. So first of all, we should remember that we are a human being, and we can be unskillful at times. And then the practice of mindfulness can always transform the past. You think that the past is already gone and you cannot do anything concerning the past. But that is not true. You can change the past, because the past is still there in the present. The wound of the past is still there in the present moment, and you can touch it. Suppose in the past you have said something unkind to your grandma, and now you regret. And your grandma is no longer there for you to say sorry. And you have that complex of guilt following you all the time. But according to this practice, you can do something. You breathe in and out mindfully, and you recognize that your grandma is still alive in every cell of your body. You continue your grandma. That is the truth. The genes of your grandma are in you. Your grandma has not really died. She continues in you. So having seen your grandma in you, you begin to say, Grandma, I'm sorry. I was not skillful. I promise you that from now on I will never say something like that again. And if you are sincere, mindful, determined, and then you can see your grandma in you smiling, and you are healed. You are healed. So you can transform the past. You make an aspiration, a strong aspiration, that from now on you will not say things like that anymore. You will not do things like that anymore. And that is a powerful energy that can transform even the past, and you feel lighter. During the Vietnam War, there was an American soldier who killed 5 children in Vietnam. His unit was destroyed by the guerrillas, so he was very angry. And he came back to that village looking the way to retaliate. So he brought with him a bag of sandwich. And he put explosive in the sandwich. And he left on the gate of the village. And he hid himself. And he saw 5 children coming out, and enjoy eating the sandwiches. After that, the children showed the sign of sickness, and they cry, they yell, and their mothers came out and tried to help. But the soldier knew that nothing can be done, because the village is so far from a city. And he saw the 5 children dying in the arms of their mothers. And the soldier survived the war and went back to America. And he could no longer sleep. Every time he found himself with a few children in the same room, he could not stand it. He had to run out of the room. And he could not share the story with anyone until one day we offer a retreat for war veterans in California. And he came. And after 4 days of practices, he got enough trust. And during the sharing, he told us the story, crying a lot. And I was in a group, and I promised to give him a consultation. And I told him, Daniel, you have killed 5 children. That is the truth. And you suffer. But now there are other children who are dying. In Africa, Asia, many countries, and even in America, children are dying. They are poor people. There are children who only need one tablet of medicine in order for their life to be saved. Thousands and thousands of children like that are dying over the world. And if you make the aspiration to go to them, and then every day you can save 5 children. You don't have to lie down in the corner of the past and suffer like that. If in the past you have killed 5, and today you can save 5. And if you can save 5 today, 5 tomorrow, and then you can see the 5 you killed begin to smile in you, and you are healed. So he followed that instructions. And I can saw the transformation and healing taking place right during the time he listened to the advices. Because during the time he listened to me, he made that vow. I will go out and try to save children. I am young enough to do the work. And that tremendous amount of energy given him by the aspiration begins to heal him right away. And after that, he practiced helping children in the world to survive. And he was healed. He married a dentist in England and led a normal life. And this is a real story. So the fact is that you can liberate yourself from the past, from the prison of the past. You can make a strong determination, strong aspiration to go and help the people who are abused, help the people who are victims of sexual abuse and so on. And then you can heal yourself. That is the power of aspiration. The fourth nutriment we call volition. And if you have transformation and healing in you, you become a pleasant person. You are full of compassion, understanding, and your presence is a very fresh, very pleasant for other people. If you propose to him or to her the practice of reconciliation, and if the other person refuses to do because you are not fresh enough, you have not healed yourself enough, you have to show yourself as someone who has transformed, who has healed himself or herself. And the healing in you will help start the healing in the other person. And there are many ways. You can write him or her a letter of love. You can ask a friend to talk to him or to her on your behalf. There are many ways to do it. And if you have already reconciled with yourself, renew yourself, become a new person, and then transforming him, reconciling with him, become much easier. If you find it still difficult to invite the other person to reconcile because you have not started the process of reconciliation from within, if you have, and then you have healed yourself, and then it would be much easier to help him to reconcile with himself and with you. Okay?
yo pensaba que estaba haciendo correctamente mi práctica de escucha consciente únicamente porque intentaba escuchar cada palabra que la otra persona decía. Ayer entendí que mi práctica no era correcta, porque por mucho que yo intentara escuchar, mientras no le añadiera la compasión, la práctica evidentemente no iba a mejorar. Gracias por eso. Y bueno, mi pregunta no tiene que ver conmigo directamente, tiene que ver con mi hija. Ella es pequeña, tiene 3 años. Y yo quisiera que no necesitara llegar a los 35 para comenzar a conocer mindfulness como humana. Entonces quiero empezar con ella la práctica, pero todo el mundo me dice que es muy pequeña todavía. Yo la veo que, como todos los niños pequeños, estamos más en el presente que nosotros en muchos momentos, pero por corto tiempo. Y no quiero empezar demasiado pronto con prácticas formales por no ponerla en una situación que todavía no es acorde a su desarrollo, a su edad. ¿Hay alguna edad más adecuada para iniciar alguna pequeña práctica de mindfulness con niños?
So try to touch the essence of the question. Basically, she has a daughter who is 3 years old, and she would like to teach her mindfulness and then start already with the seed of mindfulness at the age, and not to be 35 years old, wait until 30 years to start the practice of mindfulness. So is there any age, a good age to start teaching mindfulness to children? Because some people say she's too young for me to teach her mindfulness. She's only 3 years old. Is there a good age to start teaching mindfulness to children?
You can teach your child mindfulness even when your child is still inside of you. You practice mindful breathing and you talk to your child. Breathing in, I know you are there and I am so happy. You are mindful of the presence of the baby in yourself. And if you are mindful, the child in you is mindful at the same time. Because you and him or her are not two entities. Everything you eat is for your child. Everything you drink is for your child. Your happiness is your child's happiness. Your anger is your child's anger. So if you conceive a baby, you have to be very careful. You have to be very mindful. Anything you consume of the 4 nutriments, the child consumes also. So be gentle, consume only the healthy things in terms of 4 nutriments. What you read, what you listen, what you eat, what you hear as conversation, they will go directly to the baby. So your practice of mindfulness is the practice of mindfulness of your child. So you can begin at a very early age with your child. And when the baby may not understand yet the talking of adults, but the baby can be aware of the energy that you radiate. If father and mother are in harmony, loving each other, the baby feel that. Don't say that he does not understand what we are talking to each other yet. Don't do that. The baby may not understand what you are saying, but the baby can feel the harmony or disharmony between you. So your practice of mindfulness, your practice of reconciliation or harmony has a direct impact on your child. And when you hold your baby, if you hold your baby in mindfulness, the baby feels that. And that is a way to teach mindfulness. And when you feed your baby with your own milk, you are aware of that, you feel the happiness. So the baby not only is feeding himself from the milk, but from your love. So you can teach the baby mindfulness right away, in the beginning. I remember that Dharma talk in Germany. There were 1,000 people in the talk, and I remember in the front row there were 3 or 4 mothers breastfeeding the baby. The atmosphere in the talk was very peaceful, because we practice mindful breathing, mindful smiling. It's very nice. And before I started the talk, I look at the babies. They are so happy, they are so calm. They are getting the nutriment not only from the breast of their mother, but they get the nutriment from the collective energy of mindfulness and compassion generated by the practice. So children, they know the value of the practice of mindfulness. And then when you are about to have a breakfast with your child, if the child is 3 or 4, 5 years, you can say, darling, it's wonderful that we have breakfast together. You show your appreciation that mother and son, mother and daughter are there having breakfast together. You cherish every moment. And there is a mantra that we practice in Plum village. From time to time, we remind the other person or people that it is the moment that we are spent together is a wonderful moment. And that can be practiced with children. And the mantra is, this is a happy moment. This is a wonderful moment. Don't you agree? This is a legendary moment that we share with each other. And that mantra we can practice, we can pronounce several times a day. I myself practice that mantra a lot with my students. Walking together, sitting together, eating together, having together, we remind each other that this is a wonderful moment. We are still alive, we are sharing a cup of tea, This is always possible. So children, they are receptive to that kind of practice. They know we appreciate their presence. We have attention offered to them. They are happy. And they learn in a way that we cannot conceive. They learn without knowing that they are learning. And we transmit the practice of mindfulness by our way of life. If parents smoke and drink alcohol, children will smoke and drink alcohol. If parents practice mindfulness, loving speech, deep listening, and children will do it. And they do not have to know that they are learning. So the learning, the practice can be non-formal. You don't have to say that I am practicing mindfulness. You just enjoy the practice of mindfulness, of breathing, walking, eating, and so on. And that will have an effect on the children, even the very young ones. 3 years, maybe 3-year-old, maybe too late.
Dear Thay, dear brothers and sisters, I want to deeply thank you all for sharing your time with us. And my question is regarding little kids. How can we guide them, help them to look deeply and try to understand the root cause of their suffering, such as anger, anguish, fear, when they are small.
So the question is about is working with little children and how to guide them to look deeply and try to understand the cause of these children's suffering, anger, anguish, fear. So how to help them? Any particular age?
Maybe 6, 7, 8.
6 or 7 or 8 years old. So how to help little children understand the cause of the suffering?
We should not try to give the teaching orally only, because often it does not work. As teachers, we have the tendency to explain, and in order to explain, we have to use words. And that may turn them off. They are not interested in words and concepts. I think we should use very simple expressions, simple words. suppose when we have anger in us, when mother has anger in herself, and if the child wants her to do something, to say something for him, and if the mother realizes that it's not good to do it, to say it when she is angry, she may tell her child that mommy does not feel good in herself. Mommy is a little bit angry, and you should allow mommy to breathe, to walk, and to calm herself first. You can do like that. That is teaching. You teach by your own life. And if they see you practicing when you are angry, and then they believe you. And next time when they got angry, you may say something. Darling, why don't you do like mommy? Don't say anything. Don't do anything. It may do harm to yourself and to others. Do like mommy. Just breathe and know that you are angry. And if you know how to breathe like that, walk like that, and then you feel better, why don't you hold the hand of mommy and you breathe together? You walk and make a few steps together. And that is teaching. The same thing is true with other mental formations, like fear, like jealousy, and so on. So there is a kind of teaching called thân giáo, teaching by your own life, by your own body. This is a very good. So as a teacher, I know the value of that kind of teaching. You teach by the way you walk, by the way you sit down, by the way you eat, by the way you look, by the way you react to a provocation. And that teaching is well received by the young people. They don't have to use a lot of words. Another question from the floor.
This is a question by a man, I guess, because he says, how can men today avoid to become a soft man? So, how can men become more confident, maybe without becoming aggressive? So how can a man avoid becoming a soft man? The idea means that sometimes men, maybe in Spain, have been aggressive in the past, and now when we practice, we become soft, very receptive and attentive, and maybe we become too soft.
Too soft. Yesterday we spoke about noble silence, a kind of silence that is very powerful. It's not oppressive at all. It's very alive. When we stop our talking, when we stop our thinking, we breathe, we become alive, We are aware of being with each other. And that kind of silence is very powerful. And in the Buddhist tradition, they describe that silence as thundering silence, powerful like thunder, la tonnerre, thundering silence. And that those who believe that when they have too much compassion, they become very soft. And that is not true. Compassion is not soft. Compassion is a very, very powerful. When you have great compassion, you can die. You are ready to die for the sake of helping people. You are very powerful. It is violence that make you weak. Because you are weak, that is why you need a gun. You need an army. If you are really powerful, you can help many people around, many countries around, and you are safer. If you are too afraid, you need a gun, you need an army. And that is why cultivating compassion, you protect yourself much better than with an army or with a gun. If you carry a gun, it means you are afraid. You are fearful. Compassion makes us give us a lot of energy. And with compassion, you can do everything in order to help people. You are not afraid. In the Lotus Sutra, compassion is described as thunder. It's like a cloud, a big cloud in the sky. It looks very soft, but a cloud can generate thunder, lightning and thunder. So in the Lotus Sutra, compassion is described as lightning and thunder, very, very powerful. If you have violence in you, your nature is weak and not powerful. But if you have compassion in you, you are really powerful. With violence in you, you suffer. Children, young, adult, teenagers, if they have a lot of violence in them, and they suffer, and we can see the suffering, and they are weak. And if we cultivate compassion, we are healthy, and we are powerful. Violence makes you sick. It is destroying our health, physical and mental. Violence. When you produce a thought full of hate and violence, that thought begins to destroy you and destroy the world. But if you have a right understanding, you generate a thought of compassion and of understanding, that thought begins to heal you and begin to heal the world. And that is the practice of right thinking. Thinking in such a way that you can generate understanding and compassion. And that is real power. And compassion can be expressed in the way you think, in the way you speak, and in the way you act. If you are motivated by the desire to help a person to suffer less, you can use loving speech, compassionate speech. What you write down in a letter, what you talk, what you tell him or her in the telephone has so much compassion. And when you are able to say something compassionate, you feel wonderful within yourself. You can heal yourself. And you can begin to help heal the other person. So compassion has the power to heal. And that is why all of us have to learn how to generate the energy of compassion in us. If we want to heal ourselves, we have to generate the energy of compassion. If we want to heal our family, make our family happy, harmonious again, we have to generate, to cultivate compassion. If we want to heal our community, our city, our nation, we have to cultivate more compassion. And compassion comes from understanding suffering, our own suffering and the suffering of the other person, even the suffering of the people we believe to be our enemies. They have a lot of suffering in themselves also. So the answer to our situation is compassion. And medically speaking, doctors, they begin to know that compassion has a healing power. You have so much hate and despair and anger, it's difficult to heal. But if you have compassion, it's easier to heal yourself. At Stanford University, they begin to study about the healing power of compassion. And Thay has been invited to speak in Stanford about the practice of compassion, and someone asked exactly the same question. It's not true that compassion makes you weak. No, opposite. Compassion makes you very strong. Bell first.
¿Puedes decir la pregunta en español también para entenderla mejor?
Que si alguien viene a pedirme ayuda y tengo un tiempo limitado y esa persona, y yo entonces le intento ayudar diciendo que tiene que hablar con sus sufrimientos, sus problemas, su medio, y esa persona en ese momento lo niega y se enfada todavía más. En este tiempo que tengo limitado, ¿cómo puedo seguir ayudando a esa persona?
So somebody comes to her asking for help. I don't have much time to offer to this person, and I just tell this person that she just needs to embrace her suffering or anger, whatever emotion. But that person reacts, doesn't want to hear that. Yes? And with this limited time I have, how can I help this person transform? Yes? So basically she says to this person she needs to embrace her suffering, but the person reacts, doesn't want to embrace the suffering, and I don't have much time available to help the person. Yes. What work do you do? What's your profession? Isn't the professional?
I am a teacher, but I also help people with problems.
So, teaching, and you help people with professionally or professionally?
Teaching, yes, is my profession, and helping people with
Hiểu.
Cái người đó họ cần mình giúp, mình có giận, mình nói thì họ giận, thì làm sao trả.
If we are so busy, if we do not have the time, we cannot do anything. So the problem is to arrange that you have plenty of time. There are those of us who are doctors, lawyers, and who are able to help people. But our capacity is limited. So many of us have become monks and nuns in order to have more time. Because as a monk or a nun, you don't have to make a living. You don't have to make a living. You don't need a private house. You don't need a salary. You don't need a private bank account and so on. So you have plenty of time in order to practice helping yourself and helping other people. So one of the ways to have the time is to live a simple life. Especially, and if possible, to live in a community. You don't have You don't need a private car, a private house, a private bank account, and so on. You have plenty of time. That is what the Buddha and his monks did. They have plenty of time, walking, sitting, helping people. Time is not money. But in our society, many people think of time as money. Time is to make money. Time is much more than money. Time is life. And time is love. You are giving years and months and days and hours and minutes in order to live your life and to love and not to make money. If your priority is to make money, and then you don't have the time to do the work of loving. You have to love yourself. Do you have the time to love yourself? To take care of your body, to take care of your feelings, and so on. If you don't have the time to do that, how can you help another person? If you have the time, you do not have the time, how can you love? And everything you do in your daily life is an act of love. Everything you say, everything you do in your daily life can be an act of love. That is possible. So please reconsider the way you use your time. What are you doing with your time? Your time is to be, to live your life and to love. And look at the people in society, the way they make use of their time. They don't have the time to breathe, to sit, to walk, to enjoy being alive, to look at their children. And they are always in a hurry. So there must be a kind of revolution. And those of us who have chosen to be monks and nuns, lay practitioners living in the community, we want to have a lot of time so that we can take care of ourselves fully, heal ourselves, and help heal and help other people. When you organize a retreat, we do it as an act of love. And when we see the people transform and heal, that is our reward. That is the benefit we get. When we see people suffer less, we begin to smile, to reconcile with each other. We are very happy. We see that our life has a meaning. And that is nourishing us a lot. So every one of us has to sit down and reconsider, how do we use our time? Do we have the time to love, to serve? Do we have the time to take care of ourselves, heal ourselves, and help heal our society? This is the question. And you have to give the answer by yourself.
poca experiencia con la práctica. ¿Cómo podemos protegernos cuando hay fragilidades?
¿Cuándo hay qué?
Fragilidades.
Weakness. ¿Puedes repetir la pregunta? ¿Sí?
¿Cómo podemos, mis compañeros de Sangha y yo,
How can my friends in the Sangha, myself,
proteger nuestra Sangha?
how can we protect our Sangha?
Sobre todo si es una Sangha joven.
Especially if it's a young Sangha. Habías dicho algo más, pues
Si es una Sangha joven.
So it's a young Sangha.
Nosotros somos todos jóvenes.
And we're all quite young.
Con poca experiencia.
With little experience
En la práctica.
in the practice. So how can we protect our Sangha? Because we are young, a young Sangha and we have little experience.
Building a Sangha is a very basic practice. If you have an aspiration, a deep aspiration, if you have a dream to realize, you cannot do it without a community. And that is why building a community is very important. The Buddha, after enlightenment, knew that he needed Sangha in order to realize his dream, offering the practice and help change the world. So he spent his time looking for friends and set up a community, a practice. And at the end of the first year after enlightenment, he already had a community of 1,000 people. And he spent his time training them how to walk mindfully and generate peace and joy with every step, how to hold their bowl, how to sit, how to breathe. So you will do the same. With young members of the Sangha, the first thing you do is not to organize for other people. You have to organize so that you can practice together. We should practice sitting together, walking together, eating together, sharing together, in such a way that every time we do that, we create more brotherhood and sisterhood and mutual understanding. And we learn to make decisions together by consensus. We try to listen to each other. We try to understand different views. And we try to combine all these kind of views in order to make a synthesis of all views. And we make a decision collectively like that. And only when we have enough harmony, brotherhood, sisterhood, joy, should we organize a day of mindfulness or a retreat of mindfulness, invite other people to come. And we operate as a Sangha and not as individuals. An individual, no matter how talented he is or she is, cannot realize the big dream. So we learn to organize, to lead a retreat as a Sangha and not as a person, an individual. In Plum Village we try to do that. It's the Sangha who make the decision and not a person. For this trip to Spain, organizing retreats and public talks, the Sangha did everything, including choosing the title of the talk and the retreat. They did not have to do anything. He just obeyed the Sangha. So he has plenty of time to walk, to sit, to breathe. It's very good. So we should operate as a Sangha, not as individuals. And if you are able to build a Sangha with harmony and brotherhood, you can do a lot of things in order to help people to suffer less. And Sangha building is the most noble thing to do for a person. When I met with Dr. Martin Luther King for the first time in Chicago, in 1966, we discussed about that, because he knew that without a Sangha, without a community, he could not realize his dream. A year before that, he spoke to the team, I have a dream. And I told him that your dream cannot come true if you don't have a community, and he agreed. I was using the word Sangha, but he used the word beloved community. The second time I met with him is in Geneva. We were attending a peace conference, and we had an opportunity to discuss more about Sangha building. Unfortunately, he was assassinated not very long after that. So I made the vow to continue to build the Sangha, not only for us but for him. Because Sangha building is very important. With a Sangha you can maintain your practice for a long time. With a Sangha you have an instrument to help people. People can come and take refuge in Sangha and learn the practice of healing and transformation. So every one of us who find the practice of mindfulness useful should go home to our city and look around and identify elements of a future Sangha. We should set up a group of people learning to sit together, walk together, breathe together, create brotherhood, sisterhood, and then we will be able to help many people. And school teachers have to set up their Sangha of school teachers. Psychotherapists also have to set up Sanghas of therapists. Doctors, nurses, even business leaders have to come together and set up Sangha in order to support each other. We all need a Sangha. Without a Sangha, they cannot do anything. So he is taking refuge in the Sangha. And we always operate as a Sangha. And if the Sangha has a harmony, brotherhood, and you can do a lot of things. Today we have walking meditation again, but we should go with the same speed. We should not walk too slow. We should not create traffic jam. Breathing in 2 steps, breathing out 3 steps, and do not allow the line to be broken like yesterday. We can enjoy every step, and we are aware that we are walking with the community. We flow like a river and not drops of water. That's long enough. That's good enough. Thank you. We shall gather and begin our walking meditation in half an hour.